Alright, good evening, my friends, and this is about the Pentagon failing to pass a financial audit. They're unable to account for $2 trillion in assets, and the reason why this flew out at me as a red flag is I've heard this fucking story before. But first, Elon Musk should Twitter offer general amnesty to suspended accounts provided they have not broken the law or engaged in egregious spam. Yes, won by 45 points, just about 45 points. And the people have spoken. Amnesty begins next week. So my last tweet was me criticizing Susan Rice, accusing her of having a conflict of interest with the vaccines, and magically I get deleted. So that's that. So again, this Pentagon failing to account for $2 trillion in assets is something I've heard before. History does not repeat, but it rhymes, my friends. Washington's yearly defense budget hurdles towards the $1 trillion mark. It's already there. Come on, don't try to lie to us. The Department of Defense continues to operate with little or no oversight of its spending practices. You know why? Because nobody is held accountable, my friends. Now, if you would fire their fucking asses and revoke their goddamn pensions, their sweet deals, you might get some accountability. But again, Trump should have cleaned the house. One of the mistakes he made, my friends. I'm not above criticizing Donald Trump for his faults. He did a lot of stuff right, did several things wrong. He appointed some real fucking losers. So the Department of Defense for the 5th straight year failed to pass an audit, with only 7 of the Pentagon's 27 military agencies receiving a passing grade. You would get fired in real life for this. If 7 of your business units were only able to pass an audit out of 27, there would be a ton of people packing their shit. So we failed to get an A. Mike McCord, the Pentagon's comptroller and chief financial officer, fire his fucking ass. Okay? Told reporters last week. He's like, no big deal. $2 trillion. Not a fucking problem. Announcing the results of the Pentagon's 5th ever financial audit. There was one in 2001, which you're going to hear about. Very curious date on that one. I remember it when it happened. So I'm like, wow, that seems like it's kind of a big deal. But the next day, all of a sudden, it was not. Stay tuned. With this failure, the Pentagon has kept its spot as the only U.S. government agency to have never passed a comprehensive audit. Interesting. It also highlights the U.S. War Department's persistent lack of internal financial control. Again, management needs to get shit canned. Its poor budget estimations and rampant overspending. Can't do this in real life, my friends. A clear example is the F-35 program, which my dad frequently dunked on. He worked for McDonnell Douglas, which has gone over original budget by $165 billion to build a plane tasked to perform many different tasks, none of which it does well. The F-18's a nice airframe, though. F-15's a nice airframe. They're a little dated, but they're still pretty goddamn effective. Oh, sorry. Need Jesus again. The Pentagon is slated by 2,400 F-35s for the Air Force, Marines, and Navy. The estimated lifetime cost for procuring and operating these planes is $1.7 trillion. That's just one small segment of the airframes that are supported by the military. It would make it the Pentagon's most expensive weapons project ever. There'll be one fast following behind it, I will wager. In a 2021 assessment of the F-35 found 800 unresolved defects in the plane. Interesting. F-18, not a lot of defects in that plane. Also, there is also a current plan to expand Washington's ship productions as part. Surface ships are fucking yesterday's material, my friends, as part of the Pentagon's obsession with preparing for a potential war with China. You're not going to win there's not going to be a fucking conventional war with China. So, again, surface ships are basically just sitting ducks, my friends. Hypersonic missiles are the new aircraft carrier, my friends. While the Pentagon estimates the average cost of the shipbuilding initiative to be $27 billion per year between 2023 and 2052, the Congressional Budget Office contends to this, claiming its average annual cost of the plan will be over $31 billion. That's over 10% off. They're underestimating costs by $120 billion, and that all kind of adds up. Furthermore, in 2019, the Pentagon made 35 trillion in accounting adjustments. Holy balls. A figure larger than the U.S. economy. The Pentagon budget is not only gargantuan, but replete with waste from vast overcharges for spare parts. There was always this meme going around in the 80s about the United States spending $5,000 on a screwdriver. It may well be true. Spare parts and weapons that didn't work, forever wars with far-reaching human and economic consequences. These shadowy practices have, however, boosted the profits of U.S. weapons makers like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing, and Northrop Grumman, with major gains made despite the challenges posed by inflation and supply chain issues. Yeah, you're charging $5,000 for a fucking screwdriver. And Mad Magazine did a great parody of this. They changed the names of everyday common items like screws. They called them hammerless brads, and then they charged like $150 per screw, basically. So, along the same lines, big military-industrial complex. These companies, they donate very heavily to the politicians, my friends. There's a slight conflict of interest there that we all see. Along the same lines, the U.S. government is expected to reach a $1 trillion defense budget by 2027. No, it's already there. If not before, it's already there. As the White House has already increased the Pentagon budget to $773 billion for fiscal year. No, it's easily $1 trillion for fiscal year 2023. Maybe that's the reported budget, but it's well over $1 trillion. Trust me. Earlier this year, reports revealed the Pentagon is planning a wide-scale campaign to hasten arms sales to U.S. allies in a bid to compete with other world powers to replenish the stockpiles of countries that provide Ukraine with weapons and military equipment. Interesting, my friends. This FTX story about money laundering should be blowing the fuck up, and this is another component of this. So, again, I don't know. The media can't hide this forever, I don't think. They may try. I don't know. Washington in recent months has bolstered its already overbearing presence in West Asia, including Yemen and Syria, while continuing its aggressive policies against Iran. And the Pentagon's also blamed for abusing U.S. legislation to wage secret wars worldwide and underreporting civilian deaths in U.S. airstrikes. Barry Soetoro was the drone striker in chief. It's almost like a video game for him, I bet. And there have been also several occasions cleared U.S. troops from responsibility for war crimes. So you may wonder, where have we heard this story before? September 10th, 2001? $2.3 trillion went missing at the Pentagon. It's an accounting missing. It's not. And we know what happened a day later, don't we? And this is from 2019, the anniversary of September 11th, 2001. Terrorist attacks are remembered every year with heavy hearts. The bizarre and inexplicable events that happened the day before are usually glossed over. I remember it, lost down the memory hole due to the war on terror that gripped the nation for 18 years. So, Major League warmonger, Warhawk Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld, my dad liked him. I was kind of indifferent towards him, but he is now just a complete cocksucker. Warmonger, he may be dead, I hope he is dead, announced the $2.3 trillion had gone missing from the Pentagon. He made a statement blaming the corrupt and inefficient bureaucracy for these funds vanishing essentially into thin air. He was the original John Corzine. So CBS News issued a report on September 10th on their Eye on America series about the loss of funds. I saw that report, and I was like, wow. I even called my parents and like, this sounds like a big fucking deal. My dad's like, it's probably a big deal, but probably nothing's going to happen. And we all know what happened next. So here's the interview. Video quality back then was shit. So the announcement was starting to garner widespread outrage and spark an impetus to reform the out-of-control Pentagon bureaucracy that was made impossible after the attacks, as the public suddenly supported even more national defense spending. Huh. Imagine that. Oh my God, the Pentagon, in 2019, earlier, the Pentagon can account for $21 trillion. That's pretty much a trillion extra dollars every year since 2001, give or take a little bit. So again, that's falls in line. So, the credible reports of unprecedented government waste are disheartening enough. New developments show that more than bureaucratic incompetence may have preceded the 9/11 attacks. Very curious things happened before that as well. A bunch of options were purchased on airline stocks, and what else was very curious? That never cashed in. No one ever cashed those options in. But yet, they cannot quite seem to figure out who did that. Huh. It's weird. During a flash crash in probably 2008, I had an ETF with a sell order, a sell limit, and the ETF went to fucking zero. And they figured out who I was, and they basically they busted the trade, basically. So they should know who had made those options. Again, very curious. Allegedly, every Jewish person called out sick that day, too. Can't confirm that one. A recent academic study commissioned by the University of Alaska said the office fires could not have caused the fall of Building 7 of the World Trade Center. Always remember Building 7, my friends. Casting aspersions, good story, offered by the federal investigators. Now, if you believe the official story of 9/11, then hey, I'm glad you're buying that worldview, but there's no fucking way that's the way it happened. I don't know how it happened. The conspiracy theorists, some of the things I've seen is just so bizarre. Like the Pentagon is another bizarre one. If you look at that one, no critical thinking skill having person looks at that Pentagon attack like definitely a plane. Where the fuck is the plane? Okay, the plane disappeared. I mean, you're violating laws of thermodynamics. The engines on those planes are several tons of titanium and steel. Some shit with high melting points, but again, there should have been engines there at least. So again, we'll never really know. But anyway, that's that. That's all we're going to cover. This is from the Standard, by the way. And the other guy is thecradle.co. So, and this was also on November 23rd, 2022. And today is the 24th, and I'm not aware of any terrorist incident, but, it could happen tomorrow, or it could just be a coincidence, or just a bizarre coincidence at that. So anyway, that's that. That's all we're going to do. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, have a good night, and happy Thanksgiving to you and yours.